Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm John.
And we're the geezers on the go.
Go, go, go.
See, that was loud. This time we're at Allegany State Park near Salamanca in western New York. At 65,000 acres, it's so big that its two campgrounds are 15 miles apart. And it's 4 times the size of Manhattan Island. With more than 300 campsites and nearly 400 cabins, it has its own numbered highway system and a post office, plus tons of other amenities. There's a lot to see in this park, like Thunder Rocks, the Stone Tower, lakes and hiking trails, and wildlife galore. And we'll also take you to the heart of the Seneca Indian Nation. So fill your gas tank or just ride along with us. We're in Allegany State Park, sort of western New York, in Salamanca, New York. It's a very big campground. State Park is 65,000 acres. We're in the Red House area, and we're in Loop B. It has 5 different loops here. We're B13. Most of the sites here have electric, so we have to fill up your water before you come in. Our site, not bad. It's a little bit unlevel. Took us a while to try to get us level. We're still not quite there, but there's lots of trees around and pretty wooded on both sides, so that we don't have to really see much of the neighbors are way over there and through the trees. And we're conveniently located by the bathroom, which is just across the little creek that's dry right now. As you can see, it's sort of paved. It's not paved, but gravel. And there's lots of wildlife here, and before you come in, you have to sign a thing to say that you're aware that there could be bears, and if you don't put your stuff away or leave your food unattended, you could be thrown out of the park. And to help you with keeping your food secure, they do have one of these bear boxes to put your stuff in. So I think if I should cook anything on our grill, I will put my grill away, because last night too we were visited by a raccoon who I'm sure would have tried to overturn our grill if there was anything there. And they have a little bit of a different kind of fire pit. It's just a big thing with rocks around it, so you could have a fire if you wanted. The campsites are scattered all through this area. It goes from A through E. We're in, I said, B, and have electric, and you just have to just figure out, maybe drive around sometime if you can. I just sort of picked our spot mostly because from what the pictures look like, but some of them are kind of uneven and kind of oddly shaped for you to come into. And there appears to be some that are like buddy sites, like the one up here. The two sites are sort of catty-cornered to each other. So these would be 17 and 18, because there's 17 there and 18 is right there. But I guess if you had some friends here, come to this site, you'd be good. Again, this is Loop B, so see, that's kind of a strange site, little, not very even. And then you got this one over here. I guess you could back right into that one, but yeah, that couldn't be very big. And you see all types of campers here. We have seen tents and fifth wheels and regular trailers. This is section C, or Loop C, and we're right down from where we are, down there. So it branches out. I guess you'd have to check on the map sometime which direction you have to pull into, because some of them seem to be backwards, or some of them seem to be straight in, like this one is straight and this one is straight, it's not angled. But that would be nice that you're way back there towards the woods. And very pretty and wooded here, probably really pretty in the fall. And some of the sites, the non-electrical sites, or I guess dry camping sites, are just mixed into the loop. This is the D loop. I guess maybe you can tell because there's not as much gravel, it's more grassy, but this is just the tent site in this D loop. I think there's only about 5 or 6 sites in this one, and this must be mostly dry camping, although I see electric at the other end, so it's just have to check it out on your maps or when you're reserving to make sure you pick the right site. Well, it's Saturday here at Allegany State Park, and it was sort of empty, or not real empty, but there wasn't a lot of people. But now that it's Saturday, the only people who aren't here are 2 tent sites, but we got all the way people all the way up, lots of kids. School's just about out, so they're all having a great old time. This is the entrance to the Red House Loop, or they call it the Red House area, and there's the little check-in spot. They said if they're not there, you can go just to the site. And across the road, it's really convenient. There's a little store that has lots of stuff in it, so if you forgot something, they have all kinds of shirts and some food, and I think they even sell little tents. And the nice thing too, they also have a laundromat. Okay, I walked up to the little check-in station and talked with the volunteer there, and she told me the reason that this A loop is pretty much closed is because there's a creek that runs behind here and it floods. Although we haven't had any rain in about 2-3 weeks, it's probably very dry, but she says they only rent these out at the last minute in case it rains. But she says probably over the weekend this side will probably have campers in it for the weekend, because they'll probably open it up for the weekend. But that's the reason there's nobody here right now.
Nice little playground, but remember Loop A? We went through that earlier in the week, in the middle of the week, and there was nobody here, not a soul. And now look at it. Enough bikes back there for you.
Oh, it's a Boy Scout troop here.
I don't know, but when I was a Boy Scout, I remember things being a lot more primitive. Of course, that was
80 million years ago.
well, 60 years ago. God, that sounds like a long time. This is the Cane Hollow campground. It's about, well, I don't know, how many miles would you guess?
At least 15.
Probably about somewhere 10-15 miles from the other side of the park.
This is very open over here.
Yeah, they've looks like they cleared the center and put all of the campers in the center and left the trees around the edges of the campground. But it is very open.
This is the inner loop of this Cane Hollow. Like I said, there's not many trees, but they do have, most of the sites have electric. And big open space if that's what kind of camping you like. Looks like a newer area, because if you look at the bathhouse, it's pretty new. but there's hardly anybody over here.
Yeah, Jill just mentioned you feel kind of like at this Cane Hollow side, you kind of feel like you're at a golf course. Well, this area of Cane Hollow is a little more wooded and less golf course-like.
This is all in the high from 50s into the 100s.
A nice big site down that way. I still don't see an awful lot of people on this side here. But this is Allegany State Park is absolutely huge. They've got over 300 sites between these two campgrounds. We're not even sure where we're going right now. I mean, there are so many switchbacks and turns and loops and half loops, and in this campground you don't, if you come up here and you find yourself wandering around looking for your spot, don't feel bad, because we have no idea where we are right now. We've been driving round and round, and I don't think I've seen the same trailer twice.
We're near the Quaker area of the park, and there's a bunch of little cabins over here. There's supposed to be quite a few cabins. There's 8 different ones over here. It's called the Ward Trail, so this is some of the cabins. There's a guy sitting there on the porch.
These are some of the newer cabins. They look more like houses than cabins. They got a ball field down here at the bottom, looks like. Very nice accommodations.
This big, beautiful building is part of like a check-in center, gift shop, restaurant that's, look, on the other side looks out to the lake, Red House Lake. Once you come in, there's a nice sitting room in here to look out at the lake. Fireplace. Pretty cool. Here's the front of that beautiful building here. That I sit on the veranda out here, and you can look out at Red House Lake. There's John enjoying the view. As you come around, you'll see it. Even though it's still kind of hazy from that big fire up in Canada, you can still see the lake. Well, this is the beach and fishing area just down the road at Red House Lake, and it appears you can rent kayaks here, and there's and boats. Well, that's a good place, and paddle boats. You could have a grand old time here.
Alright, let's just do that. Okay guys, let's space out a little bit.
This campground is so big.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been in anything quite like it. You can drive from one campground to the next for 20 miles and never leave the state park.
Right, we're in Red House Campground. The other side's Cane Hollow Campground, and it's better have a full tank of gas after you get to the campground, because you'll be seeing the sights and you'll need it. Well,
and there's a lot to see in the camp itself, in the state park itself, and it's huge.
Yeah,
I mean, how many acres is it?
There's 65,000 acres in this campground.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure, but it seems like you'd be able to fit the state of Rhode Island in this campground.
It's almost like its own little town, because it actually has its own police station here, and
restaurant,
cabins.
And, I mean, it's got
300 campsites, and
over 300 campsites, and almost half that many cabins. So you know, it's funny, because this campground started in the 1920s.
Yeah,
and it originally opened up with just platforms with tents on it, and they filled the place up.
Yeah,
and then
they said they'd have 500 people coming in on a weekend.
So then they started building cabins, and they have more cabins here than any other 10 state parks we've been in.
Yeah, and some of the cabins, this place is also good if you come in the wintertime, because they have snowmobile trails, cross-country trails, and some of the cabins are winterized, and you can stay. It's not a lot, and the lady said if you want it, you better book it like at least by the summertime for the winter.
And there's a lot of stuff to do in the area too, right, Jill?
Right. We visited a thing called the Stone Tower, which a big tower that I guess at one time was used as a fire
That's
lookout.
actually in the camp.
That's in the camp, yeah.
And Thunder Rocks was in the camp too, right?
Yeah, these weird and really pretty rock formations.
Yeah, you've got to visit Thunder
that,
Rocks
I
if
know.
you come here.
It'll take at least half an hour or more just to walk through all the rocks.
Plus which you're very close to the Seneca Nation.
Right.
I think part of the park's actually in the Seneca
I think the
Nation.
edges might be.
And the little town of Salamanca is in the Indian Nation, and they have a really cool Seneca Iroquois National Museum there.
And lots of cool things. See, I really enjoyed seeing the little beaded purses, and just the craftsmanship was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and it gives you a good idea of some more of the history of this area. How, I mean, the first people of this country, their history is just so full, and there's so much to see in that museum that it's really a treat.
Yeah, so if you're going to come here, have a couple extra days. Just there's so much to see and do.
And then you could go fishing too if you want.
Right.
This is Thunder Rocks. It's a natural rock formation in Allegany State Park. Jill's going to go up and take a closer look. What's that look like to you, Jill?
Like a whale's head, right?
Yeah, kind of. One of the odd features of these rock formations is that you can see this tree is growing right into the side of the rock here. And there were a couple of little birdies up there hopping around. Then you see we have a big shelf rock protruding from above.
And I think some of these little circles are from ancient water, because this was covered by water at one time. There's little holes in the rocks, like a grinding stone from old
natural erosion. This looks like water's been running down the side of this rock here. That'd make a heck of a slide. See, here we have trees, small trees, going right out the side of the rock formations.
really cool ones over here. There's ferns and trees and
Yeah.
all grown out of the rock.
They have trails all through here. It looks like you could wander around for days back here.
Turn all the way around. Look at me under this big thing here.
And there's Jill. I don't think it's going anywhere.
No.
But you can see another tree growing out of the rocks up there.
I think I'm going to take a little walk through this boulder field over here. And there's something cool growing someplace. There's another bigger rock over there, and go through here. Wow, is that some cool rock formation? Looks like it's teetering on its edge there. Whew. We go from natural stone formations to one that was man-made. Well, we made it out to the Stone Tower observation place. It's probably 5 miles or so from our campground. There's so much stuff here, it's hard to tell how far anything is here because you meander so much. But this was built by the CCC in the 30s as an observation tower for check for fires and just to look at the area. So there it is. And you can walk up.
Here I am.
Oh yeah, there you is. Gee, I'm surprised you never walk up anything. I'll be right.
It's about time you took a picture of me at the top of something.
I know. There he is. Well, I'm gonna walk up there and meet John up on the steps. It said at one time this thing was covered with graffiti, but in 2014, people from Sherwin-Williams, of all people, took off just about all the paint and graffiti. But John says there is a little more paint. I should come up here, but it's a cool little place. We'll see what we can observe here. Very cool stonework here. And it's lasted, it's probably 90 years old close to in this area. So again, you probably could see really pretty stuff, but kind of smoky today.
Now it's off to the Seneca Indian Nation, where the stop signs are in both English and Seneca, and where we found one of our favorite museums. It's a busy day here at the Seneca Iroquois National Museum in Salamanca, New York. Don't ask me to pronounce any of these Seneca words, but we're going to take a little walk through the museum here because that's what we do. Right, Jill?
Right, we get to see lots of cool things. This basket. It was a black ash basket made out of sweetgrass and moose hair.
Cá quế mẹ ế rồi. Bắt tắt quả sờ. Để đắt nè ôi rồi.
Now, we considered coming to this museum more or less a must during our visit to Allegany State Park because we were so close to a lot of the Seneca Nation grounds and buildings and administration that we wanted to see what it was all about. This is called an alligator dance. This could also well been where the sport of lacrosse was invented. It's known that it was played across the country long before Europeans ever came, and it is believed that it is the version of lacrosse played here that evolved into the modern sport. We could have stayed a lot longer at Allegany State Park. Boy, the time really flew by. But eventually we had to pack up and move on. We're glad you could join us though, and as always, we'll see you down the road.
Stop, stop, stop!